of exploring to do. But you do have to keep in mind that this is an accredited house museum. Just imagine being invited here for the same trip that Johnny Weissmuller is a guest. You might learn a few techniques to move more effectively through the wall. Weissmuller being a 5-time Olympic gold medal champion in the 20s. And he was able to get a job after visiting here. Mr. Hearst owned Cosmopolitan Movie Studio. So guess who became the first one? Let's see, 1929, Winston Churchill stayed in the Little House. Early 1930s, Bob and Dolores Hope had this 8-bedroom house all to themselves for their stay. Lots of privacy afforded to people. Here's where I need you to look down and please stay on the plain carpet. We do get a little crunched in some of the rooms. That's why we split the numbers on the bus up. When William and Millicent Hearst were still living together, they were living in New York, headquarters there, vacationing in California from time to time once he started this project in 1920. And this is where his wife eventually slept. And I say eventually because this house from Missouri. I don't know how long it took him because he had to walk and he got very sick along the way. But I think it was the very early 60s when he noticed that the Comstock gold mine had something besides gold in it. And for a time, we have letters between the two on record as proof. Who came on tour for decorating ideas?
Oh.
This is all in the guest house.
Trouble. And he's 84 years old at that point. So his medical staff convinces him to move to Southern. Okay, come on. Tonight I have nothing. Who can tell me what's wrong? Few in this group from a young enough generation who probably didn't recognize any name I used in the previous room. So let me try to come back at least to the 20s. So the room is formal, and most of the pieces in here are roughly 600 years old, Gothic. But look at the table, it couldn't get any more casual. It's not easy getting guests to open up and relax when they have to worry about Emily Post and proper etiquette. You're dressed casual, keeping too busy, I see. Whew. Hey, break. property in 1919, he did say to her the main thing about the ranch is the view. He wanted to maximize from every location. So the house most close.
This is the guest library.
Thanks. This is a time when everyone is still draped in furs. And if you don't have your own to bring to the estate, you can borrow one from him while you're here. There's a fur vault in the basement. There are 3 meat lockers under the kitchen in the basement. There was supposed to be a 3-lane bowling alley under the theater. He started that project but never finished it. More than 14,000 square feet of basement storage under this house. Harpo, it ended up in Harpo's pocket and stayed there. Later that evening at cocktails, Mr. Hearst unceremoniously removed the book, asking, "Where did you get this?" Harpo simply said, "Charlie gave it to me." And then he watched her storm off, book in hand, without another word. He had to find out later from Marion that that book was a first edition copy of Gulliver's Travels, that her companion had paid more than $30,000 to acquire. Harpo went on to write, "The next time I visited San Simeon, I think that's a miracle on its own," that he was invited back. But he said, "The books were all locked up in cages and you had to talk to the head housekeeper to get one." Now, we don't know that that's an accurate story, but it sure is. All running through the central switchboard. So the operator knows when the light goes on, where do I connect so that I can talk to the person and direct them elsewhere. And he spends a lot of time running that empire from this room. During the day, if it's nice, he might be in the back room, seated with a view to the east. People who did see this room from time to time would be employees invited here on a working vacation. So you have that board meeting at the big table. He could spread newspapers out to edit, which he did on a regular basis. Yeah. All right, and let's stop right here and have the rest of you start in the girlfriend's room. I'll let you take a couple minutes to have my place. Mother and father and grandparents Apperson on the front walls. Marion, especially.
It's kind of weird. He had a girlfriend, she had her room, he had his.
Hearth?
Makes Trump look like a Trump.
Following that style. You saw the one and only grand staircase on the property, and that was that marble one. He's here to take care of the enemy trying to overtake you when they can only come in one at a time. There were reasons for all of that years ago. Just decorative here and keeping with a look. Control in the day. It was a modified telephone that had push buttons on it, so that all he had to do was push one of them to tell the projectionist, "Raise the sound, please," or the opposite. And if he didn't like it, pick up the receiver, a direct line to the projection booth, get rid of it, it stinks. Now let's watch one of Marion's movies, please. So you're in here.
21, and he says, can you put a temporary pool in the middle of my rose garden? So I tell all my guests, don't begin with the temporary pool. This is what it grows up to be like. The boys like the pool so much, he says, you know what? We can put a small reflecting pool in the middle of my rose garden, and Julie Morgan will complete that. Kind of reminds me of the Beverly Hillbillies cement pond. It's in the middle, and everything's going to be built for you guys. So that pool will be altered, and then he'll put a second pool in that runs this hill. As far as you guys can see, that is called Junipero Serra. That is roughly 35 miles as the crow flies. That's where the back property line ends during William's time. So as a guest, I need you guys to stay on this side of the hill, okay? He's got the largest private zoo in North America out there for you. He's got his own stables, raises Morgans and Arabians. Cadillac in the back if you do not like a church-like figure. And that's what you see when you turn around here. His main home. Cottages get poured all at the same time. First one will be completed. And
Nice view.
engineering from Berkeley, second female to do so. Ladies, in the 1890s, you can't travel by yourself. You have to be accompanied by a male. She wants to travel. There is no architectural school on the West Coast. The premier one's located in Paris, the École des Beaux-Arts. She will take her brother with her, cross country, cross the Atlantic, gets to Paris, 3 more problems. Metric system she does not know, language she does not speak, all boys school. Knew all this in 1896, won't let any of it deter her. She teaches herself French, teaches herself the metric system, earns enough points in the boys system, passes their exam on the second attempt, gets accepted in, and the boys don't ever receive a certificate. She then will come back to California, becomes the first female architect certified by the state of California. So dynamic lady in her own right. Well, gentlemen want to know if we left money, if the Hearst family left money to run the estate. No, it's a long and winding road, and that's not a Beatles song only. What happens is, Mom, when the father, George, passes, he's the 8th richest man in America. And ladies, in America in 1891, you don't get money. It bypasses you. It goes to the oldest male child. If you do not have a male child, it goes to your husband's brother. You just don't get money. In Ron to Spain, he now says looks small compared to the guest cottages, so that's going to alter the main home. He's going to add 2 more floors. He's going to add another bell tower. He knew the home was going to get that big. He didn't make the guest cottages bigger. Never does he think he gets carried away with the project. Did you want your outdoor? You have that in there? Yeah.
I know what you heard, but it's not true.
Type of game. Your reputation precedes you. Well, everybody step on in. Years old. He likes it, and he thinks he has a spot for it. I think he was right. These are 300-year-old Peruvian tapestries. This is a mahogany table from Portuguese, about 200 years old. It's a Chinese lamp and a Chinese rug beneath and above it. This is a Russian painting of about 200 years old of a copy of a Rembrandt here. 400-year-old Bambucci cabinet, Italian. Renaissance mantle, can't give you a date on here. As William's all over the board, he likes it the best. You know, I like it, I got a spot for it. But I do think he's getting carried over the top, as this is one complete sitting room. If you're on this side of her, you're 1933, because that's what William has built. It's the door we came in, it's up to this point, it's 3 floors up with 1 tower. However, that's not big enough for William. So he asked Kate to add basically another 20 feet, another 3 stories up with another tower. She says yes. We tell you on every tour that it's 18 inches of reinforced concrete. This, here I get to show you. This is the room I try to sell to you.
So 1937 here?
Yeah, yeah. I think Julia keeps her word. She keeps it cutting edge at this time. More bedrooms. Vivendas are Italian, walnut, 400 years old, and it's an oak Spanish table, 302, the main house, except for the door that we walked into at that point here. So therefore, for some reason, that's 1933, he goes back to what you would have seen in the main home here. The travertine underneath here, you see the scribed limestone on the side at that point, more back to the Gothic style feel here at this time here. We don't know why, but it's just William and his decorating habit. However, the ceiling is all basically made after one beam, and it's the beam right in front of you. Not this side of the beam, but just this side of the beam. That is 500 years old. And that will be given to the craftsman, and he says, can't you make the rest of the ceiling? So therefore, they'll tell us how they put the wood out there and let it bleach in the sun, put lemon juice on it, kind of how they put worms. William Randolph Hearst supports Herbert Hoover in 1928, and then the stock market crashes in 29. You know how we do things in America. Times are good, we give you all the credit. Times are bad, we blame the president. So therefore, Hoover's got to go. And in 1932, he will run his own candidate for president, John Nance Garner, Cactus Jack. They get to the convention, nobody can get the job done, and it's going to be a brokered convention. His good time, long time, dear time friend, Joseph Kennedy, supporting a gentleman named Franklin Delano Roosevelt. William. It was originally installed, but when William comes back, conversations will talk about how he wants to live up on that 4th floor. There's only 2 towers up there. Well, can't you tie the 2 towers together? So what she has to do is remove the 600-year-old Spanish ceiling. Again, 30% of the work she does, redoing what she already did. Then right on the spot, she will pour reinforcement beams. And that's the 600-year-old Spanish ceiling. She will get the upstairs 4th floor completed, but William will never see it. Too ill, down to LA in 47. The boys will take pictures. And we just take a couple minute break here just to make sure your knees are working. We've been covering a lot at this time here. And I got a question for Jonathan in the first house, and I'm going to kind of wrap it up on this room here. The hilltop, 5 of them, so the single men. Foremans all had homes built for them, so they reside around the state at that point here. If you're married and working for William, he'll find homes for you in Cambria. 2.4 billion is where they're at. By the way, they say inherited at that time here, so they don't think. Okay, I'm looking for a married couple. Corporations, cub reporters, screen reporters, he gives opportunities to ladies that no one else is giving. And up here, ladies, you're going to be treated as an equal. That's not the case in the big cities. After dinner, the gentleman and I, we grab scotch and cigars. We rule the world. You ladies are supposed to go gossip in another corner. William don't fit into that. Ladies, you're going to play poker with us. You're going to play billiards. You're going to ride horses. You're going to swim with us. You're going to play tennis. It's one of the reasons the ladies are here. They get treated as an equal. That and modern plumbing, we think, helps too at that point here. And in this room, which is out of California in the 1950s, no March Madness, tennis #1 amenity, ladies play it. He says in the lower level, I want handball, squash courts, 20 dress rooms, 10 for the gentlemen, 10 for the ladies, and a pool that holds 205,000 gallons of water. She says, okay, I'll get started on the lower level. He says no.
So these are the dressing rooms under the tennis courts where the pool, and the pool is here.
Today, if you guys are in a hotel, motel, yacht, or whatever has a pool, right? You get done swimming state. They complain that it's dark and gloomy, and they don't like the 10-foot flat bottom depth. The 10-foot flat bottom depth is so you can do laps, so you can do board diving, so you can do platform diving. The water's heated to 76 degrees to give you a Roman bath feel. It's a gym, also give you that gym feel. So when the guests do not use it, William hands it over to the staff and ends up becoming the company swimming pool. William spends $400,000 when it's completed in 1933. Hand-carved alabaster shades sit on 20 white marble lamps. 8 Carrara marble statues imported from Italy, and the tile on the wall, on the floor, in the pool is from Murano, Italy. Premier glass manufacturer of the time. Anything that looks like gold is gold. It's 22 and 24 karat gold leaf fused into it at that point here. And we'll let everybody come on down here. Now the alcove in front of you is only 3 feet. Because ladies, I mentioned how he's progressive, right? You're gonna enjoy all the amenities. That includes swimming. Because most of the times, ladies, you would have had a separate pool or a separate swim time. However, William don't believe in that. He's enjoyable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
By then, his family and corporation already owned this, and they weren't going to put more money into it. So it stays the way it looked when Hearst left. Of course, we take care of it. We put a new roof on the whole thing last year for the first time in 80 years. But other than that, you're going limestone on the outside of the concrete, or to use painted stucco, so there aren't even final drawings of what the final look was to be, because he was not finished. It would have just kept on. Come right on in, please, so there's room for everybody else. Also another 20 bedrooms. So yes, he could certainly accommodate 100 people easily. We think the biggest party he had, though, was his 71st birthday party, and that one was about 60 people. It was far from town. You're giving up a chunk of your life to come here. Of course, willingly, no doubt. People were flattered to be invited, but it was, not the place for the 200 to 300 17th century stonework from Italy out there right now. So he collects parts of buildings, not from the Doge's palace, but still the same style. The house itself, concrete and steel, all the modern gadgetry, but surrounding you with interesting things.
So he must have had a lot of specialist craftspeople who fitted much of this original
Right,
work.
his architect, Julia. And very shy. Julia Morgan was not a social person particularly. In fact, if Hearst is here with a house full of guests and she's here on the property, she's going to be probably staying overnight at the train station in San Luis Obispo, back to the office on Monday morning. But still on site, very frequently, the craftsmen really respected her. They probably feared her. Or one of her engineers said she knew their crafts better than they did. So you didn't get away with anything, I don't think, with Miss Morgan. So you might recognize the ceiling. This is part of the one we saw in the first bedroom we visited. I think there are 31 antique ceilings used in this particular home, back from the days when the ceiling was the most ornate part of your decor. Floors are very special as well. That's why I don't feel that. I'm sure I can imagine him saying something similar. This is his private floor, and we're going to visit his private bedroom first, if you'd lead the way into the bedroom in the South Bell Tower. In Aragon, a World Heritage Site for this type of architecture combining Islam and Christianity by Muslim artists in the mentioned bell tower a couple times. If you've looked at the house from that west side, there are two commanding bell towers crowning the house. We're in the south one. Between us and the 18 bells in this tower is a 2,500-gallon water tank. So part of the reason to have these bell towers was designed around the gravity-fed water system. Handy, right? Well, not St. Francis, but St. Anthony, perhaps, but it was made back in the mid-Renaissance, the workshops of Andrea della Robbia in Florence. It's not terribly clear which saint it is, as he lacks his symbolism. There were so many different St. Anthonys, so it's one of those Anthony fellows. Have a seat if you like. These wouldn't have been here. Come right in. Not friends, by the way. Excuse me. So another bedroom with 2 beds and 2 bathrooms. Cute mid-30s swimsuit. Wool. Jansen came out with spandex. What a big improvement. They weren't so wet when saggy after that.
And that was in the 1930s?
Yeah, mid-30s. About 1935, spandex became, very important in fashion. So another elaborately decorated room. We call this the Della Robbia room. There are 5 pieces of Renaissance beautiful art. These angels are 15th. Then we came down a little bit lower and we saw this loft bedroom. and now we are here. This is a tower of two-story bedrooms called the duplexes. So that sitting room that we first saw was the lower part of a two-story bedroom also. And these are all...
Village here with the church in the middle of town and the little cottages for the villagers who live nearby. You can kind of make that leap in imagination. Hearst doesn't have a chapel here though. He has a lot of art here that would have come from chapels throughout Europe. That's all part of the collection he has here. So the doors themselves, those are actually antique doors made in Spain during the 16th century. Those would have been used as the entrance to a convent. Here it just leads right on into the living room. This top section though, the tympanum or the half circle of antique doors. So a lot of things up here are going to be a combination of those two things, the antiquities and the remodeled sort of complements that were made in the 20s and 30s in order to balance out everything, to make you believe that everything here is not only antique, but has been here for a very long time. Hearst wants you to believe that this castle is centuries old and has been here for
So this is the view from one of the guest cottages in the Hearst Castle. And here's the runway built for DC-3 because Howard Hughes had a DC-3. It's a mile long and he used to fly in to visit.
As there were the houses, the cottages and the big house, and today they are maintained by a team of 12. There's over 1,000 standing rose bushes, and everything is maintained in architectural balance. Example. Please step right on through, folks. This is a moving tour. Heavily inspired stories. We'll step on into the center room where there's much.
Yeah, rude.
We have a saying on the hilltop: if it looks like gold, it is. But this ceiling is not antiquity.
They look like grizzly bears.
So much for the splattered popcorn.
Step all the way in so everybody can make it. Don't want to leave anybody stuck in that old bedroom.
What do the kids do?
On an average, Hearst has 20 to 28 guests. And they aren't all from Hollywood. They're very influential people. He's not running a resort. It's not a hotel. They're invited here. They're dreamers who have achieved dreams. They have Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. When people got together in person, face to face, to share their passion, their dream, how they can help one another. And that's what's going on. The Hollywood crowd are here. William, in 1915, has the
So this is the wine cellar.
I wonder if wine tasting is involved in this.
They said no.
And you've already checked, eh? Good woman. Rising is a German word.
His family after he dies in 51 and before this becomes a state park. The bottles that are lying down have the original liquid in them, and I have learned from wine connoisseurs that even in a dark, cool wine cellar, had up to 10,000 bottles in it. The irony is, he didn't like guests that drank too much. Anyone here seen the movie Citizen Kane?
So I'm on the William Randolph Hearst Pier, where he brought all the equipment in to build his Hearst Castle. It was in San Simeon.